XHTML Unit B. So there are a lot of tags that I'm asking you to put in your document this week. And here are the lists of tags. Some of these you've seen, such as the body tag and the head. You've seen the header tags right here. HTML image you've been introduced to this week. List item, ordered list. Okay, so there are just a lot of tags, and I think as I go along this will make sense. You're given the XHTML B.htm file to work with, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to get a document that looks like this, and if I just right click, I can view the page source. And here's my page source. So what I'm going to do is copy. I'm just copying all of my page source to Dreamweaver. And I'm going to create a new HTML document. So from now on, I'll probably work in Dreamweaver instead of some text editor. And what I can do is go into Code View if I'm not already. If I'm in Design View, I just click on this Code button, and I'm going to highlight everything that's in here and delete it and paste my code from the view source. And just inspect what I have real quick. You can see on line 1, I've just created an XHTML 1.0 strict document. And there's the closing body and HTML tags. It's pretty rudimentary. This document doesn't have much in it. For a reason, we're going to code it up. So let's get started on that. And we'll do that by looking at the example of how I want it to look. So here's the Word doc example that was attached with this assignment. And it's called The Merits of Education. So you can imagine that's the largest, most prominent header on the page, so it'd be in H1. The importance of education is a subheading, it would be in H2. Ethics in education would be in H2. Characters in education would be in H2. And I would probably like for you to make this Mark Twain and Albert Einstein quotes an H3. I think that would make sense now that I look at this some more. Famous authors, it's another section that would be in H2. An H2. Here for famous equations, famous molecules in H2. Programming in H3. I'm sorry, in H2. Lists of sources in H2. Let's look at what else we have in this document. Imagine this is a paragraph, and I do want you to complete this statement. The ellipsis means for you to complete it. Look here. There's this line going across the page. I know this is a Word doc, but you can create this in HTML using the HR tag, the horizontal rule. I will show you how in a minute. Ethics in education, these are definitions, so you'll be using a definition list. Mark Twain quotes, these are quotations. You will use the block quote tag. And down here under famous authors, there's an image. You'll be using the image tag. This is an ordered list. Ordered, it has numbers. Famous equations has an unordered list. And look at this, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. These are going to be created using the sup tag, superscript tag. Famous molecules, here's an H2O. This little 2 here will be created using the sub tag. It's the subscript tag. Down here in the programming section, we'll be using the pre tag, which is the pre-format tag. And what it'll do is allow any space that you enter here in the code to actually be seen in the end product. Normally, white space is not honored. Remember that? And down here, list of sources is just another ordered list. So let's get started with the code. Here I am back in Dreamweaver, and one of the reasons that I want to use Dreamweaver is because of things like this. Watch this autocomplete. All I had to do was type the bracket and the forward slash, and Dreamweaver knows that I opened an H1 and it knows that I need to close it, so it closes it for me just by typing a bracket and a forward slash. So it will autofill, so be aware of that. Okay, or autocomplete. The importance of education is in H2. Okay, education is important because this is going to be a paragraph. You learn things and stuff. So please do complete this statement with something better than I did. Ethics and education. It's also in H2. Look how easy it is to code this document. Okay, I'm going to move down a little bit. And I told you that all these definitions would be a definition list. So check this out. I just make a little bit of space so this is more human readable. And I start a DL, which is a definition list. And if I open it, I want to close it. Okay, the DL tag wraps around the entire definition list. But then notice the syntax here. The definition term opens and closes around the word that you're defining. Okay, so ethics is a system of moral principles. This right here is the data definition, or definition data. So look at how I wrap my tags around the definition for the word. You just keep going. DT for the definition term cheat, and DD, DT for plagiarism, and DD for this definition. Okay, here's what I'm going to do right now. File, save. And I created myself a little week 2 folder, and I'm going to put my file in there called XHTML B .htm and save. And if I want to see how this is going to look, Dreamweaver is a WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG stands for, it's an acronym that stands for what you see is what you get. And it does a pretty good job under most circumstances. When we get into cascading style sheets, you'll see that it doesn't always work. So here's what I'm going to do. Click on this design button, puts me in design view, and I can start to see the results of what I've done. There's my H1, my H2, my another H2, and here's my definition list. And then here's the rest of the text that I haven't coded up yet. Let's go into code view and let's keep going. And that space right there that I just deleted doesn't matter, but it's kind of bothering me, so I'll get rid of it. Characters in education, that is an H2. It's a second level header. And I told you I thought that the Mark Twain and Albert Einstein could actually go here in an H3. And here's the quotation. And watch how I do this, and we'll see if it's right later on when I try and validate this. But I believe, and this has always been tricky for me personally, that you have to do a paragraph inside of a block quote to get a block quote to work, or you do a paragraph with the block quote inside it. So we'll see if this is the right way. Okay, so there's my block quote. And look, here's a second quotation from Mark Twain. So I'm going to block, and look at this. It's another thing about Dreamweaver. I start typing the first few letters of a tag, and it will show me a tag that I could select. Oh, I forgot my paragraph, didn't I? P. If I open this, I close it. Now look, don't do this. Don't make this mistake of closing with a block quote and then closing your paragraph, okay? See how that's invalidly nested? I open this block quote, then I have to close it on the outside. This is the wrong way. So I'm just going to move this here. Okay, that would be correct. Here's Albert Einstein. He is an H3. Here's his quotation. And again, I'm going to do a block quote, and I'm just going to click that with the mouse. Paragraph, and close my paragraph. Yep, and close my block quote. Okay. And here's another quote from him. Block quote, paragraph, paragraph close, block quote close. All right. Famous authors. This is an H2. And under this, let's see how the original example looks here in Word. Should look like this. So let's work this up. Famous authors section. I've got an ordered list. So I add an OL tag and I wrap it all the way around all of my list items, just like this. Then I come back and I do the individual list items. Oops. And if this feels like I'm going too fast for you, I can understand. I'm trying to get this, most of it, within a 15-minute video, and it's not going to happen. So I'll have a part 2 here. But look, I want to show you something in Dreamweaver that I think is neat. This ordered list, these are list items within it. Look at what I can do. I can highlight these lines and just hit tab, and it indents them. Because, you know, I mean, we know that XHTML is hierarchical. All right, it has a structure to it, if you will. And you know that these list items always belong within the ordered list. Well, this helps make it a little more human readable instead of everything indented all the way to the far left. Okay, famous quotation. Oh, we're not ready for that yet. I'm going to do one more thing here. We need to get our image in here. So where do we get an image of Mount Rushmore that looks kind of like that? Let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go to Google, and at the Google side I'm going to type Mount Rushmore. And I'm going to click up here on images, and I get a bunch of images of Mount Rushmore. And I was looking at this earlier, and I think this one will work for my purposes. 600 by 450. I'm going to click it, and the way that they've redone Google, it shows me this information. So it's 600 by 450, and I need to know that. And what I'll do is right click on my image, and I'm going to do a save image as. In my week 2 folder, I'm going to save this as all lowercase Mount Rushmore. You could put an underscore there if you like. I usually don't. Mount Rushmore. And it will save it as a JPEG. It's already telling you. It recognizes that it's a JPEG. So I hit save, and I've got it. So now I go back over to Dreamweaver, and I can start typing out an image tag. Image. And for images, I need a source. And this is going to be really nice for me. Watch this. When I double clicked on that, or when I chose it from the list, it shows me a source here, and I can browse to my Mount Rushmore .jpg file, and it puts that code in there for me. Great. I need a width, and Dreamweaver recognizes that the width is 600 for the native image, and a height, and I'm going to put that at 450, and I also need an alt tag. Alt is just a description for my image, Mount Rushmore, in case the image doesn't appear. And then one last thing, close my image like that. And check out part 2.